Welcome to my YouTube channel Wise Whispers, where silence speaks. The call that shouldn't have come. My name is David, and I am 62 years old. There are some moments in life that carve themselves into your memory so deeply that even time cannot erase them. For me, one of those moments happened 42 years ago, the day we buried my little brother Tommy. Or at least that's what we believed. But last week at exactly 2:00 a.m. my phone rang. And the voice on the other end said something that made my heart stop. David, it's Tommy. The night that changed everything. At my age, sleep doesn't come easily. My wife jokes that I wake up more often than the old clock hanging in our hallway, so when my phone rang that night, the sound didn't just wake me, it startled me. No one calls at 2:00 a.m. unless something is terribly wrong. I reached for my glasses on the nightstand and squinted at the glowing screen. Unknown number. My first thought was that it might be one of my kids. My daughter lives across the country, and my son sometimes works late shifts. Maybe something had happened. So I answered, "Hello." For a moment, there was only silence. Then a quiet voice said, "David, is that you?" Something about that voice made the hairs on my arms stand up. "Yes, who is this?" There was another pause. And then the words came. "It's Tommy." My heart slammed against my chest. Because my brother Tommy had been dead for 42 years. The day we lost him. Tommy was 6 years younger than me. I was 19 when he died, he was only 13. Back then, Tommy was the kind of kid everyone loved. The kid who smiled at strangers, helped neighbors carry groceries, and somehow made everyone laugh even when things were tough. Our family wasn't rich. Our father worked long hours at a steel factory, and our mother cleaned houses. But Tommy never complained. If anything, he made our lives brighter. I remember one summer afternoon when we were fishing by the river. Tommy couldn't catch a thing, while I had already pulled in 3 small fish. He looked at me with that mischievous grin and said, "David, I think the fish just like you more." I laughed and handed him my fishing rod. "Here's, let them get to know you." 5 minutes later, he caught the biggest fish of the day. Tommy danced around like he had won the lottery. That was Tommy. Joyful, loud, alive. Which made what happened next feel impossible. The accident. It was autumn when everything changed. Tommy had been riding his bike home from school. According to the police report, a truck lost control on the wet road. The driver tried to brake, but it was too late. By the time anyone reached Tommy, he was gone. I still remember my mother's scream when the police came to our door. It was the kind of sound that doesn't just come from pain. It comes from a broken soul. The funeral happened 3 days later. Tommy's small coffin looked too big and too quiet. I remember standing beside it, staring at the polished wood, unable to accept that my brother was inside. People kept saying the same things. "I'm so sorry. He's in a better place." But none of those words meant anything. Because my brother was supposed to grow up. He was supposed to get a job. Fall in love. Have kids. Instead, we lowered him into the ground. And our lives were never the same again. Back to the call. 42 years later, I was sitting on my bed, holding a phone, listening to a voice that claimed to be him. My hands were shaking. "This isn't funny," I said quietly. "Whoever this is, stop." The voice responded softly. "David, you used to call me Tommy the Tornado because I broke your model airplane." My breath caught. No one knew that story. Not even my wife. I had built that airplane when I was 16. Tommy knocked it off the shelf while playing superhero. I had been furious. He spent a whole week apologizing until I forgave him. That memory was ours alone. "Who are you?" I whispered. The voice sounded tired, older, but somehow familiar. "I told you, it's Tommy." My chest tightened. "That's impossible." He sighed. "I know. The first meeting. The next day, I barely functioned. I replayed the conversation in my head again and again. Had someone somehow learned about our past? Was it a prank? Or worse, was I losing my mind? That night, the phone rang again. Same time. 2:00 a.m. David, what do you want? I asked. I want to see you. My heart pounded. He gave me an address. A small diner 2 towns away. Tomorrow afternoon, he said, please come alone. Before I could say anything else, the call ended. The drive. I almost didn't go. Everything about it sounded insane. But something deep inside me needed answers. So the next afternoon, I drove to the diner. It was an old place, faded sign, cracked parking lot, the smell of coffee and grilled burgers drifting through the air. I walked inside slowly. And then I saw him. A man sitting in the corner booth. Grey hair. Wrinkled face. But those eyes. They were Tommy's eyes. Recognition. I stood there frozen. The man looked up and smiled gently. Hey, big brother. My knees nearly gave out. I slid into the booth across from him. For a long time, neither of us spoke. I just stared, trying to understand. How, I finally whispered. He looked down at his coffee. And then he told me the story. The truth. The accident had happened exactly the way the police said. The truck had hit Tommy. But he didn't die. He was barely alive when an ambulance arrived. And here where things became strange. Tommy said the truck driver was connected to dangerous people. The accident had been caused by illegal cargo being transporting. The driver feared prison. So he bribed someone at the hospital to falsify records. Tommy, unconscious and badly injured, was secretly moved. By the time my parents were told he had died, he had already been taken away. Why? I asked. Tommy's voice trembled. Because the driver thought if anyone found out I survived, I could testify. He grew up under a different identity. Moved from place to place. Watched. Controlled. I tried to find you for years, he said, but they always stopped me. But why now? I asked. He looked up at me. Because the man who controlled everything died last month. For the first time in decades. Tommy was free. A lifetime lost. We sat there for hours. Talking. Laughing. Crying. He told me about his life. The new name he was given. The jobs he worked. The loneliness. I missed everything, he said quietly. Mom and Dad passed away, I said gently. He nodded, tears filling his eyes. I know. I visited their grave. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. 42 years. Gone. The hardest question. Finally, I asked the question that had been burning in my mind. Why did you call at 2:00 a.m.? He smiled sadly. Because that's the time I finally found the courage. A new beginning. Since that day, Tommy and I have been trying to rebuild what time stole from us. It isn't easy. We missed decades of each other's lives. But every Sunday we meet for breakfast. We talk about everything. And sometimes, when he laughs the way he used to as a kid, I see the little brother I thought I lost forever. The moral. Life has a strange way of writing stories we could never imagine. Sometimes we believe something is gone forever. Sometimes we bury hope along with the past. But the truth is, life can surprise us even after decades of silence. Never take the people you love for granted. Because time is precious. And sometimes miracles arrive with a phone call at 2:00 a.m.